young Gordon Ryan walks in, all of a sudden he has an edge on guys who've been doing jiu-jitsu much longer than him, much longer. Gordon Ryan now had the ability to enter legs in a way nobody knew. Hey, coach, I'm having trouble being more aggressive in sparring, and I sometimes end up getting dominated or taken down. Any tips? That's from Kantar. You know, it's not about being, if you're getting taken down, it's not because you're not aggressive. It's because you need to up your wrestling skills. You know, you didn't see the shot coming early enough to defend yourself. It's not a question of being aggressive. It's not a question of getting mad or psyched up. It's a question of playing the game better. You know, so I would recommend, you know, notice what's going on in the practice room, like what you want to improve, and then find the right drills to correct your sparring, because you can't spar every single day. Okay, it would kill your intensity. Sparring lets you know where the leaks in the boat are. Okay, you're trying to build the biggest, baddest ship. You're trying to build the biggest, baddest castle. You're trying to build the best plane ever, and sparring tells you where the leaks are, where the weaknesses of the castle are, and then the next day you go in and you drill. Either you're shadow boxing, shadow wrestling, drilling with a partner, back drills. Find the drill that's going to correct your problem. If you're getting taken down a lot, I would suggest scrambling, sprawling, Granby rolls, some defensive drills with your striking. You know, so let's say you'd be shadow boxing, drop into a sprawl, drop into a Granby roll. I like to do these kind of workouts, and so I like to mix it with kettlebell or aerodyne. You know, I like to do it along with my conditioning, and I like to do a lot of sprawl drills. Solo wrestling drills are fantastic. And then when you go to sparring, you'll notice every so often you're stopping the takedowns. And then if you keep on that trajectory, eventually you get taken down very, very rarely. I also really like leg locks. If you're really serious and you have the time, get to know the leg locks, because when people take you down, it always feeds into leg locks. I love to drop down on a leg lock when somebody tries to take me down. It's one of my favorite things, because either I leg lock you or you let me go. You're not going to get the takedown. You know, so I really, really love scrambling into the legs. What advice would you give a striker to focus on versus wrestler? KD, that's from KD. Look, I don't believe you want to, I don't think you want to focus on being a striker more than a wrestler, or being a wrestler more than a striker. Spar, do a bit of everything, and over time, you're going to decide whether you're more of a striker or more of a wrestler. So basically, think about when you go to school, okay? When you go to school, you learn math, you learn science, you learn history, you learn everything, okay? You learn a little bit of everything. That's what you got to do in martial arts. You got to learn. Don't tell yourself I'm a striker. Don't learn a little bit of everything. Then specialize in something. Yes, after. Okay, you're going to college, you're going to university. Now you're going to specialize. You're going to go into medicine. You're going to go into law. You're not going to do a little bit of everything anymore. No. It's not time for that. So like when you're doing jiu-jitsu, what should you learn? The basics. Armbar triangle, omoplata, butterfly guard sweep, Toriano pass, like really the basics. Don't get deep in De La Riva. You don't need that yet. It's not there. You're not there yet. Then you're going to find out what kind of style you have. It's the same thing in MMA, because the thing is, some guys have a talent for takedowns. It's incredible. That guy's been training 3-4 years wrestling, and he's getting more takedowns than a guy training 7 years. Maybe it's his body type, maybe it's his muscle type, maybe it's his size, maybe he's a little shorter, he's closer to the legs. Whatever advantage he may have, it works for him. So he's gonna discover that he has a knack for wrestling. So he's gonna specialize in taking people down in fights. His whole thing is to set up the takedown and get on top and crush the guy. You're gonna design your game, but don't do that too early. Don't think, oh look, I like wrestling, I see it on TV, and no, try a bit of everything. Try a bit of everything. Try the basics of everything. And over time, you're going to realize, hey, this works well for me. You know, I always love to give the example of Mike Tyson and Ali. They fought totally different. Two legitimate world champions doing the same sport in totally different ways. And it's okay, because there's level and then there's style. I always tell people, you have to find your style. Finding your style takes trial and error, and nobody could figure that out for you. People can suggest. Good coaches will suggest. See, you have two types of coaches. One type of coach, he only knows one way to train a fighter, and you have to do it that way. That's it. There's no better way. And I love Marcelo Garcia, but he was a bit like that. If you did 50-50, no, 50-50 is no good. You have to do butterfly guard. Okay, De La Riva, that's not really good. You need to put your butterfly hook in. You can use De La Riva guard like to prevent the guard pass a little bit, then you got to find your butterfly hook. It made total sense for him. But you never saw a student of his copy and paste his style and make it to the top. There hasn't been. He's got a phenomenal style, but I like to pick and choose the stuff from his style that works for me, and some of it doesn't work for me. And I love 50-50, but I'm not a 50-50 expert. I mean, I'm a black belt and I do a lot of 50-50. But I'm not a level of a Ryan Hall in 50-50. You know, there are other guys out there that know way more about 50-50 than me. I think 50-50 is good, but I can identify when I want to use 50-50 on somebody and when I want to avoid it. I'm not the best 50-50 guy, so I'm not going to go there with a 50-50 specialist, right? So I'm going to take him somewhere else. I'm going to try to funnel the fight somewhere else. Fighting is like that. You know, of course, Marcelo, he wanted to funnel people in his butterfly guard. But not everybody is going to have their core game be the butterfly guard. Imagine, thought experiment. Imagine Gordon Ryan, instead of going to Renzo Gracie Academy, fun thought experiment, imagine he went to Marcelo Garcia. Marcelo Garcia is not a lover of leg locks. Now, I love Marcelo Garcia. I think he's one of the greatest of all time. Pound for pound, one of the greatest of all time to ever compete in Jiu-jitsu. He's a master and a legend. I can't say enough good things about him. He's arguably the greatest sweeper ever, arguably one of the greatest finishers ever. Passing, I mean, the guy was phenomenal through and through everywhere. However, if a young Gordon Ryan went into his academy and he was told not to do leg locks, I personally don't think Gordon Ryan would have been as successful. I think he would have been successful, but nowhere near as successful as he is today. Why? Gordon went to Renzo Gracie Academy. They developed an incredible leg lock game. John Denhar was developing an incredible leg lock game. It gave him a huge advantage in the jiu-jitsu world. Why? Because he knew a game that nobody else was privy to. Nobody else understood these entries. Everybody was being surprised by these entries, these Kane Basami entries from the bottom. Of course, they existed, but not in this fashion. They were executed much more intelligently. They were refined. John refined them. John made them stronger. John made them more. He developed a system, and then he developed a way to teach the system quite quickly. Young Gordon Ryan walks in. All of a sudden, he has an edge on guys who've been doing jiu-jitsu much longer than him. Much longer. Gordon Ryan now had the ability to enter legs in a way nobody knew. So they didn't know how to defend it. And it gave him about 5 years of an advantage. And then, of course, he was a very intelligent guy, a very hardworking guy, and he was developing other parts of his game. So now, even if you can get away from his leg lock, he had all these other tools that he's been sharpening up, and they were all innovative. They were all the back attacks. All these things they've been done in the past, but now they're being done differently. The sequences are different, the system is different, and it's being taught differently. So it's being taught more efficiently, more quickly. It gave him a massive edge. Now, Marcelo, he had a great system, but now it's known. It's known. It's a great system. He showed it to the world. People understand how it works. People are expecting it. We know the pattern that's coming up. We know the next step he's going to take. When something's not surprising, it's hard to execute. Surprise is the number one. If you read Sun Tzu, the great legendary military leader from China, we've all heard of Sun Tzu. He says, number one in combat is surprise. And I totally agree. If I catch you by surprise, it's an easy takedown. It's an easy sub. If you see it coming and I can't surprise you with it, it's hard. It's not impossible that it works. It's just really hard to make it work. So in my opinion, find your style. Innovations are always good if they can be proven to work at the highest level, but always reinventing ourselves, always learning new things, always discovering what works for us. Start with the basics and then look to find what works for you. Don't just try to copy and paste somebody else's style. Okay, a great proof of what I'm saying is look at freestyle wrestling, look at boxing, look at MMA. So many great world champions got to the top, won gold, won the championship, but they used a different style and or strategy. Marcelo Garcia was a phenomenal competitor and world champion, and Gordon Ryan was a phenomenal competitor and world champion. Two very, very different styles. Both butterfly. It's interesting because they both played a lot of butterfly, but both very different type of butterfly game. Now, I've done both systems for a very, very long time, and I can tell you I prefer the Gordon Ryan system for me personally. However, it's not necessarily true, though. That's going to be true for everybody.